In 1932, Australia launched a military campaign unlike any other in history, not against a human enemy, but against a crowd of EMUs. Armed with machine guns and biplanes, the Australian military was tasked with taking down thousands of these large, flightless birds. But what happened next was anything but a straightforward victory. This is the story of the Great Emu War, where nature outsmarted the military in one of the most unusual conflicts ever recorded. To understand how this unusual conflict came to be, we need to take a look at the state of Australia in 1932. The country was still feeling the harsh effects of the Great Depression, and life for many, especially those in rural areas, was extremely difficult. Farmers were struggling to grow enough crops to survive, and just when they thought things couldn't get worse, an unexpected threat arrived. Thousands of emus. These birds, following their natural migration patterns, descended upon farmlands in Western Australia, wreaking havoc on the crops that farmers desperately needed to sustain themselves. Emus are powerful birds, standing over 6 feet tall and capable of running at speeds up to 30 miles per hour. In 1932, an estimated 20,000 emus migrated into farmlands attracted by the crops. The birds destroyed barriers, destroyed crops, and left a trail of destruction in their wake. For farmers already on the brink, this invasion was a disaster. They turned to the government for help, hoping for a solution to this overwhelming problem. The Australian government's response to the emu invasion was both unconventional and unprecedented. The Minister of Defense, Sir George Pearce, decided to deploy the military to tackle the problem. This wasn't a small-scale operation. It involved the use of machine guns and even biplanes. The idea was simple. The military would cull the emu population to protect the farmers' crops. Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was put in charge of the operation, and with 2 soldiers, 2 Lewis machine guns, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, they headed to the outback to begin what would be known as the Great Emu War. The military's initial plan seemed straightforward: set up the machine guns, wait for the EMUs to gather, and then open fire. However, as soon as the operation began, it became clear that this was not going to be an easy fight. The emus, far from being slow and easy targets, were incredibly fast and agile. They had a natural instinct to scatter in all directions at the first sign of danger, making it nearly impossible to hit them effectively. In their first attempt to ambush a large group of emus, the soldiers managed to kill only a few birds before the rest quickly outran the range of the machine guns. As the ground operation struggled, the military decided to escalate the effort by introducing biplanes. The idea was that the planes would help chase down the emus, making it easier for the soldiers to target them. However, this plan also ran into significant problems. The rugged terrain of the outback made it difficult for the planes to fly low enough to target the birds effectively, and the emus, once again, managed to outrun and outmaneuver their attackers. In one memorable instance, a biplane attempting to strafe a group of emus nearly crashed due to the uneven ground, highlighting just how challenging this operation had become. After several weeks of frustration and minimal success, the military operation was called off. In total, around 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been used, but the soldiers had only managed to kill a small fraction of the emu population. The emus, meanwhile, continued to roam the farmlands, leaving the crops in ruins. The Great Emu War was officially deemed a failure, not for the emus, but for the Australian military. This operation, intended to protect farmers, ended up being an embarrassing chapter in military history, with the birds emerging as the unlikely victors. Today, the Great Emu War is remembered as one of the most unusual conflicts in history. It serves as a reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the limitations of human intervention, even with military force. The emus, resilient and resourceful, had outsmarted the soldiers sent to defeat them, turning what was supposed to be a simple culling operation into a story of nature's triumph over man's efforts to control it. The Great Emu War continues to fascinate people around the world, not just as a quirky footnote in history, but as a symbol of the challenges that arise when humans try to impose their will on the natural world. The Great Emu War is more than just an odd chapter in history. It's a story that illustrates the complex relationship between humans and nature. It's a tale that challenges our assumptions about control and power, showing how even the most well-laid plans can be upended by the forces of nature. If you enjoyed learning about this strange but true event, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We've got more incredible stories from history coming your way, stories that will surprise you, make you think, and, just like the Great Emu War, leave you wondering what other unbelievable events history has in store. Thanks for watching.